Hello everyone, welcome to this D&D adventure Beyond the Fog. My name is Wiss and I will be your DM for the duration. So before we get started, I've got some housekeeping for our future viewers on the YouTubes. Hello! If you've been hanging around on my channel for a bit, this is not a Toonkind game. We're in a whole new setting with a whole new set of friends. We might have some mature themes here and there. Trigger warnings as appropriate will be in the video description. I have no heckin' idea where we're going to end up, so yoo-hoo. So I will do a little bit of a preamble for our setting, just to refresh my players and also for our listeners. So here is the spiel. The world is full of mysteries. One of them is a huge permanent fog bank that covers a huge expanse of the world, which has been there as long as written history can recall. A wall of white that you can enter, but no one has ever returned from. The Isle of Hope and Hopetown, the only town on the island, is the closest anyone can get to the fog without severe endangerment. Approaching by sea, there are treacherous reefs and strange, strong tides protecting it. These days, the only ones that approach the fog from sea are trying to scavenge and treasure hunt the shipwrecks that have failed to survive the approach. On the island, though, you can walk straight up to it should you wish. It doesn't feel any different to a normal fog, though it is thick, and light does not shine through it for more than a few feet on the clearer days. As is expected around a band of continuous moisture, the air is wet. Hope is a tropical island. Ferns and other such plants are commonplace. Most buildings have been built closer to the sea, which is ironically drier. The only building that stands close is Foghorn Hall. It is a sturdy stone building covered in moss and other plants, blending in well to the environment. On paper, they call themselves an adventurers' guild, but their function is more to provide a final rest stop and source of supplies for any that are daring enough to venture beyond the fog. Over the years, all sorts have stepped through the fog, from heroes and mercenaries to criminals on the run and those wishing for things to end. It is unknown if any of them survived. Whatever is keeping the fog so immeasurably thick and constant also seems to block scrying magic and telepathic magic. Foghorn Hall doesn't care what people's reasons are. They will feed, rest, and outfit anyone who is determined to go through in the hope that they might be the one to return. And that is why the island is called Hope. So that's our preamble. So with that out of the way, I would love my lovely players to introduce themselves and who they're playing for this lovely adventure, top to bottom in our VC order.
I think they're all different on different screens. I don't know who's top and bottom on your screen.
You're second from the bottom. Like, I'm at the very bottom on my screen, and then it's you. So it should be the same order.
Well, you're not bottom on my screen.
Oh, okay. Well, whoever would like to go first then. Maybe it's because we've got our webcams on.
I will jump in. Gosh, this is feeling familiar. Hello, Liberation Industries people I've managed to drag over to watch my other stuff. You can call me Vela for the duration, and I will be playing Gil, who's just a weird little fish dude.
Who wants to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next. Hi, my name's James, and I'll be playing Julian. He does not have a last name because he has kind of his history's a little bit uncertain. After a certain point, he's only got memories up to about the age of 7 or so, at which he started studying at a particular library known as Candlekeep, and yeah, he's Oh, actually, I might leave the rest of it now.
Sounds good.
I'm happy to go next.
All right, go for it.
Hi, my name's Linda, and I'm playing a little old elf called Hortense. I run a little shop on the island where I sell health potions and other things that travelers might need. And yeah, I'm a bit of a busybody. I really want to know what everyone is doing, regardless of how boring or minute the details.
Hi, my name's Mandy. I'm playing a tiefling called Audacity, who is not wanted for any crimes anywhere honest.
That's a good answer.
Lovely. Wonderful. All right, cool. So to set our scene for our... It's not really a session 0, it's kind of like a 0.5 kind of thing, I guess. It is the morning of a normal day in Hopetown. And in a town like this, the mornings are the quietest times. Hopetown, while it has an adventurers guild, in quotes, is also a bit of a tourist trap. It's a town of vices. So there's all sorts of things for tourists to do when they come to the island. And in this kind of town, mornings are the quietest. The night staff are wrapping up and the day staff are starting to take over. And those who have come here to partake in the particular vices of their choice are usually sleeping off said indulgences. So there is little more than the song of birds dancing over the fog at this particular moment. The marketplace of Hopetown is where we're starting our little story today, which spills out over the northeastern side of town, trailing up towards Foghorn Hall. And very little changes in this calm, fairly typical pseudo-medieval fantasy market. However, over the last few days, there has been a dark blue tent pitched near the edge of the market, near the path that leads away from the town towards the fog, with a little sign out the front that reads, "Fortunes Told." And I have a little picture for you, which I did have open. There it is. When it loads. Oh my gosh, it's taking so long today. So while that
Discord.
yeah, howling at the moon. While that is having its thing. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. There's a little picture. So, this is where I'm going to hand over to you guys on how you would like to bring yourselves into this scene.
Am I right in assuming that that's my shop?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, I don't want to come into it until someone else comes and talks to me, because I'm doing shop stuff.
Fair enough.
All right. Yeah. I'll walk towards it. And I know. At first, I see the. At first, I'm actually looking to get myself some potions, actually, but I'm about to walk up there. But then I notice this tent that's never really been there before, and Julian frequents the marketplace a fair bit, to be honest, because he's normally looking to actually check out the various tourist goods that can be found, just in case he can find anything of interest to him. And yeah, he kind of just walks straight in. Probably doesn't even read the sign. He's just interested because it's a new thing in the marketplace.
Okay, great. All right, so Julian, you walk straight into this tent, hoping that it's not just somebody's living quarters. Thankfully for you, it's not. So you walk in, and there was this little table out the front, but there's also this. It's kind of done up with fabrics, and there's candles, and how they haven't set the tent on fire, you're not actually sure because they're open flames. But there is another table inside the tent, and sitting behind it there is a quite tall figure with a dark blue hood and cloak kind of outfit, and you can't see their face from under the hood, but they're just sitting behind the table, and they look up at you and simply nod and say, "Good morning."
Oh, hi there. I was I was wondering if you could help me find any stores that sell merchandise for a particular man I'm interested in. Would I be able to find that here?
I have not been on this island very long, so the exact wares at all the different stores and shop fronts I am not familiar with.
Oh, okay. So, what exactly have I walked into here? I presume I should have actually bothered to read the sign. But I assume you're a merchant of some type to be set up in the marketplace here.
Of some type. And do you want to roll me an Arcana as our first roll of the game? I guess.
Okay, so I know
Milestone achieved,
well,
first roll.
I'll just type like roll d20.
No, so exclamation mark, and then
Right.
there are so many different dice pots. They're all different.
Exclamation mark. So exclamation mark d20 or?
Yep, and then plus or minus as appropriate.
Did that work?
Where did you do it? Where did you type it?
Into Dice Parser.
Oh, so into our Discord chat. Because it didn't come up.
No, I clicked the bot and messaged. The
Oh
bot.
no, you don't message the bot. You just do it in the chat.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all good. Session 0.5. We're learning how the dice bot works.
So, literally D20, like
Yeah.
explanation mark D20. Yep.
Mhm.
And that is an 18.
Okay,
Oops, sorry.
that's
Did
okay.
that in the
That's okay. That's all right. I will still accept that. Okay, so that's a total of 22. Okay, so you're familiar enough with magic to have seen the use of the mage hand cantrip, I think? Yes, cantrip. And how they usually manifest as a fairly ghostly looking hand. And what you see around this hooded figure is not just a hand, but a pair of hands and arms and elbows and yeah, like a full set of arms just sort of materializes where a normal set of arms would be. And they are holding a deck of cards with black and white decaling on them. And I don't know if you are looking at our webcams, James, but they look like this.
Oh, very cool.
And because it was a 22, you would recognize these as Taroka cards, which, for anyone listening, these are like D&D tarot cards. So he is holding this deck in this pair of ghost arms, and he places it on the table in front of him, and he says, "I am a purveyor of fortunes for a small fee."
Interesting. What fee would that be?
A very modest fee of 1 gold piece.
Yeah, sure. That's only 10% of the total amount of money I have right now. So,
Yes.
so yeah, I'll go for it.
I love starting gold. It's fun. All right, cool. Well, we might hold the fort there for a second for these two. Audacity, what are you up to?
I think she's asleep.
There we go.
I've been making my way around the market, mostly just keeping relatively close to the spooky tent for my own reasons. So walking through, bright red jacket on, cloak over my back that's covering up anything of interest that might be there. So looking fairly normal other than being a tiefling.
Mm-hmm.
sword at my hip, kind of wandering from stall to stall, see if there's anything interesting, making sure that there's no interesting ruckus that I need to interrupt.
Okay, great.
Is there anything interesting on these stalls this early in the morning?
Look, a lot of them are still in the process of opening up, but it looks like it's your normal. I hesitate to say peasant because it's not quite peasant level because this is a tourist town. Even though this is more the residential market, I guess. It's not the high end. Oh, look at buy my shiny trinkets kind of part of town where they really want tourists to go. This is where you get your groceries kind of thing. But it's your normal fare. So you got your potions, you got your weapons, you got your blacksmith, your tailor, all that kind of mundane kind of stuff. And then of course there is your spooky tent, which you are quite familiar with, and the caravan looking shop that's a little bit further down the path that leads out of town.
All right. Well, might go have a look at the cart. It seems like it's got something of interest going on there. It doesn't look like it's got horseshoes out the front, which is about the tastiest looking thing I can find in the rest of the market.
All right, cool. Hortense, are you awake at this time of morning?
Barely. Like, I'm awake, but I don't want to be.
Fair enough. Do you want to roll me a perception then?
Okay, hold on. So it's perception?
Yep. Okay. With an 8, I suspect you don't notice the tiefling coming up to your caravan door until she tries to either knock or let herself in, whatever it is Audacity is planning on doing.
I mean, if there's nothing set up out the front, then I'm probably not going to be.
Ooh. Lena, you're bumping your mic really bad. You're...
I know. I'll put that away from myself again.
Oh dear.
Well, that was annoying.
Sorry, because it was over there. I forgot about it.
Oh god, are we all okay? That was a loud noise.
I knocked my phone.
Oh dear.
Okay,
dear.
so you're not just going to barge into my house?
No, that would be rude.
Might give the wrong impression.
I think at the moment I'm kind of just I'm pottering and making my morning cup of tea. I've got my dressing gown still on, and I'm going to be opening soon, but still like another 20 minutes or so. But I do open up the front of my house, and I sort of like bustle out, and I'm tossing out, fantasy tea leaves. Well, I guess it would just be tea leaves, and I'm just like, ooh. So
Yeah, fair enough.
do I see Audacity then, or am I just
Well,
so in the zone?
you did roll an 8, but like even with an 8, the environment is very green because it's the tropics, and Audacity is in bright red. So I'm going to say that you do see her while you're tossing out your tea leaves, but it takes you a second. Like it's an over-exaggerated double take where you turn all the way away and then stop and then turn back as that has actually filtered through into the rest of your brain.
So I'm like, toss, giant tiefling, toss. Whoa!
Well, she is taller than you, yes.
Not the taller, but I'm not the one standing on top of the cart. Like, you're out there.
I'm just making tea, dearie.
Okay, doke. At that point, I'll just head back to the market, I guess. This is apparently not a store. I'll just start walking back.
Is there something? Sorry, I was gonna do a dumb voice, but no, I can't maintain it. It was making me laugh when I couldn't hear my own voice through my headphones, and it's not working. I can open now if you need something desperately. I don't normally open for another 20 minutes.
You take your time. I'm just thought this might have been something, and if it's gonna be something in 20 minutes, I'll come back in 20 minutes.
I mean, would you like a cup of tea? I've just brewed some.
I don't want to be any bother.
Up to you. I'm up there either way. And I kind of pop her back inside my little cart. But I leave the door open, so she can come in if she wants. But if she doesn't, I'm not gonna get cross.
Cool. Can I get a perception check from Audacity, please? Nice, dirty 20. Okay, so you have had this interaction with this short, elderly, elven-looking woman in this caravan, and as you're sort of taking stock of whether or not to actually go into the caravan or not, or to go back to the market, something does catch your eye. Sort of half underneath the caravan, I suppose. Bella, do you want to tell us what Audacity sees with that dirty 20?
I was going to go with a little way off, maybe in a tree or something, but sure, we could go with half under the caravan. This works.
Up to you.
Just sort of.
Okay, I missed all of what Shannon just said because it cut out. Who's describing what now?
The describing hasn't actually started. We're still sort of negotiating the presence, but so Audacity has spotted sort of in a little patch, like just behind a little patch of bushes, you can see like the top of a little mud green stripy head in the corner of a scarf. Just kind of like someone has obviously been en route and then attempted to not be obviously en route and is now just sat down somewhere and has found somewhere to be like, I'm not here until anybody sees that I'm here.
Gonna look over that and head to the side.
You're all cutting out quite a bit, so I might turn off my camera to save bandwidth.
Alright, sounds good.
Okay. So
looking at whatever's over there. No idea what's going on here.
So I think as you kind of lean around the bush to sort of see what's going on, you catch a little more of the figure, big bundle scarf up to its nose, wearing what is clearly just some cloth wrapped up in the vague shape of a shirt and a pair of trousers that are sort of tied up at the knee, attempting to crouch casually behind a small bush, holding something clutched to its chest.
Kind of watched it for a sec, and then I'm just gonna start stepping backwards. Keep an eye on it. Nope. This thing's clearly a bit freaked out. Not calling anything.
Oh dear, oh dear. Are you gonna do anything with that?
I think yeah, probably the little Oops, I'm getting a lot of feedback on myself.
Lena, we're getting static from you again.
I'm not doing anything.
That's very
Is it
bizarre.
potentially me?
Maybe.
I'm just sitting, and I don't have my laptop on me.
Weird. We're all in the same time zone. You'd think this wouldn't be too bad. Alright, let's
Australian internet.
yeah, true. Alright, sorry, as you were.
Alright. So I think Gil is gonna look up and realize that it's been spotted. Sort of. Sorry, it's the caravan open yet? Do you know?
I think she was saying that it's another 20 minutes before she's doing anything. It's apparently tea time, which is a very important time.
Good. And is just gonna sort of stand up and walk away.
Okay.
What happened?
Alright. Well, it's at that point we're going to cut back to Julian and the mysterious man of mystery inside the tent. So he has I'm assuming that Julian has put a gold piece on the table.
Yes, that's exactly what he last did.
Okay, great. So this figure is going to take the gold coin, and you're not quite sure where he puts it to put it inside his cloak because there doesn't appear to be any opening. It's kind of almost like it's more like a poncho that's floor length rather than a cloak that has an opening at the front. But he takes the gold coin and he puts it away, and he picks up the cards, and then he shuffles them slightly, and then he turns that sort of black void where his face should be towards the opening, and he says, "It is a fine morning. Why don't we do the reading in the open air?"
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
And he stands up and is quite a bit taller than you. Quite a bit taller than you, actually. And he moves towards
Sure he is.
moves towards the opening of the tent, and he sort of glides more than walks. But he moves outside to that small table that you walked past at the entrance, and he sort of sits himself behind it, and then he's shuffling the cards and turning some the other direction and shuffling, and then he starts putting some cards down on the table. Audacity, you don't have to roll a perception or anything to have noticed that the fortune teller has emerged from his tent. You're quite familiar with this fortune teller, I believe.
Oh, I look familiar. Just kind of, if nothing's been happening at the wagon, then I'm making my way back to the main market. I see that this spooky fellow is back out, and just kind of keep an eye on proceeding. Not getting too close.
Alright, great. So the fortune teller is going to, once Julian has followed him out of his tent, start laying down the cards. And it's at this point I'm going to get a dexterity saving throw from everybody in the party.
Dun dun dun.
I'm in a completely different wagon.
There is in fact a reason for this. Nice. Off to a good start.
I
Great.
disapprove.
Okay. No, that's fine. A dirty 20, a 19, an 18, and a 12. So, I mean, you probably weren't expecting the ground to start shaking. And for Hortense, you're inside your wagon, but it is shaking enough to shake the walls of your wagon, and you've got all your ceramics going tingle, 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 tingle. Gil, unfortunately, you do kind of stumble a bit and maybe fall to one knee, not necessarily completely by it, but You do
Oh, no.
stem.
No. Once Gil starts to fall, Gil commits and is going to, like, spread eagle on the ground like this until it's over.
Splat. Oh, wonderful. Okay, cool. Yeah, so the ground has started to shake under your feet, and for the most part, with the exception of our little fishy friend over there, you're keeping your feet. There's things to hold on to. You've got good balance. You're managing to stay up. But along with that shaking, there is the sounds of explosions booming from somewhere in the direction of the Fogbank. And the ground shakes really hard for a moment and then slowly settles into a slow rumble. But those sounds continue. And when Hortense comes out, she'll be able to see this as well. But for everyone who's actually outside, you can start to see black smoke starting to drift over the white fog towards the town. And there's little specks of debris and small rocks and pieces of soot starting to rain and sprinkle down on the marketplace.
Oh, well, that's a volcanic eruption.
At this point, I think Audacity is already sword in hand. He's kind of looking at where the commotion is coming from and just edging closer to the spooky tent.
Cool. Gil, what are you going to be doing? You're face down on the footpath, but...
Face down on the footpath. Is probably going to start on all fours, like, making my way over to the spooky tent as well, because that's the direction of, like, if it's coming from the fog towards the town, that's where my house is. Not going back that direction. Thank you very much. Come on.
Julian, what are you up to?
I'd like to at least attempt to observe what's going on with the rest of the marketplace with this just happening.
Sure. So, because there's not been very many people out and about this morning, there aren't a whole lot of people running and screaming in the streets. Like, you've got a couple of people, particularly your vendors who had just started to open up for the morning. So, like, you know, you've got your baker who was putting all their rolls of bread and stuff out and all that sort of stuff. And there's some definite panic. You can see people going, oh no, stuff is falling off shelves, things like that. But, like, at this point, there's some cracking of the paths, but no huge amounts of damage as far as you can see at this stage.
No worries. Okay, I guess I'll just kind of casually, like, look up at Omen and just be like, are you seeing this? Like, what's the deal here? Do you know?
The fortune teller is standing up now. He had sat down, but he is standing up, and he is sort of looking in the direction of the fog and the smoke and the ash and the everything that's coming over the fog. And he then does point his face, well, you assume he has a face under that hood, but he points his hood at you and just says, "This is not something that I expected."
Ironic, really.
Okay, so there was like no like volcano on. Have you drawn me a card yet? Because like if there's a volcano on that or something, like I think I'd like to know.
He had put about 4 cards down on the table, and he has a 5th one in his hand, but he hadn't quite his hand, his ghost hands, but he hadn't put it down yet. Hortense, what are you doing at the moment?
Oh, I have run out of my wagon still wearing my dressing gown, but also wearing every hat I own. I've clearly panicked and gone, earthquake! And just grabbed whatever was nearest. Now that I've run outside, wearing all of these hats, I'm like, oh, okay. Can I roll to see, because I've lived here for a bit, can I roll to see if this is something
Yeah, sure.
that's happened before?
Go ahead and roll a history.
What would that be? Just
History.
like perception, history?
History.
the hat thing is something that actually happened during the Boston earthquake. A guy panicked and ran out wearing 5 hats.
Great.
Bye.
Yeah, that's a 5. That's not great. Look, you've lived here for a little while, but you haven't lived here long enough to know whether or not volcanic eruptions is something that is normal. But given the way that people around you are freaking out, you reckon it's probably not happened, at least in these people's lives.
Oh, okay. So, have the other party members seen me? Like, have they seen me run out just wearing not just, but wearing 5 hats?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay, I want to play it off like this is just what I do every morning, but I just take all my hats for a walk, and I'm like, oh, well, this is atypical. Bit of an earthquake. Is everyone okay? Is the is Gil the name of the it's your fish character, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are you still laying face down on the ground?
Yeah, I think probably in a more sort of crawling position than face down on the ground at this point, but definitely still like on the ground, sort of like crawling along the ground just in case the things get worse and standing up is no longer a secure prospect.
Oh, well, I would like to try and
Mm-hmm.
and like help you to your feet as if that was my intention all along.
I think as you reach down, Gil sort of like crab scuttles a few paces backwards and goes, it's fine. I'm fine. It's all good. Thank you anyway.
All right, I would like to join Gil on the ground. It's been a
Okay.
morning. I don't go full flat on my face, but I do sit down and start fanning myself
Okay, sweet.
with one of my hats, being like, "What a morning, hey kids."
Wonderful.
I'm kind of watching this and going, well, I can't say I disagree with him. I look over at Omen and I look over at the spooky man. I was like, Omen, look at me warning about this would have been nice. Meant to be your thing, isn't it?
And Omen turns and looks towards Audacity and just sort of just half gestures to the last card for his reading that he was literally holding. Like, the future does not wait. It comes when it comes. And unfortunately, I didn't put the cards down soon enough in this instance. It's at this point.
Yeah, well, me assessing a fortune teller is gonna come when it comes anyway, so.
True that. So as the ground is slowly shuddering, there's a moment where it stops, but then it starts to shake again, and that roar of explosions from the other side of that fog gets louder, and more ash and debris and slightly larger rocks start to come down, like the size of, some are fist size, some are marble sized. It doesn't quite get to watermelon sized like some of the hail we get here, but somewhere in the normal hail range. And you can all see them shattering roof tiles, they're breaking flagstones of the road, and as Omen is having this fairly snarky interaction with this tiefling that they obviously know, one of these comes smashing down into that small table that was outside his tent, and there is this strange shockwave of power that spreads out and almost pushes the air around and pushes it out until you are in the eye of the storm. And it is a large amount of air spinning around this small area which the 5 of you are encapsulated in. And you can also see, even without rolling a perception at this point, you can see that Omen's cards have been flung. I can English, flung up into this vortex. And I would like everybody to roll me perception, please.
I'm good at two things. One of them is dexterity, the other is perception. I better roll good for one of them. Passive perception or regular perception?
Regular perception, it's fine.
Okay.
Oh, we're not doing so well on this one.
Passive perception is never a roll, by the way.
Yeah, that's just a happens.
Perception.
Gotcha.
Oof.
Okay, that's a 7, a 9, a 12, and a 15. Okay.
Saved by my bonus.
Yes. Okay, so I want you guys to kind of picture, if you've seen the movie Encanto, okay, Mandy, you're not going to get this reference, but there's this almost like a dome of sand and ash and debris and Omen's Tarot cards that are whipping around you. And as you're looking around, looking at this field of sand and grit and cards, images start to appear. And Gil, as you're looking around, you can also see that tall hooded figure over near that tent who was smack bang in the middle of that shockwave to start with. He has these gold decals along the bottom of his cloak, and they are glowing, and you can see a pair of eyes in that void face that are glowing as well. Nobody else gets to see that. Just Gil.
Omen has eyes?
In theory. Enough to glow anyway. But everybody does see something. You can see flashes of images in the walls of this dome that you are currently surrounded in. Hortense, you see visions of this peaceful town that's calm and friendly, and then you can see some people approaching who have swords and magic who are threatening the townsfolk, and they're pulling out gold and heirlooms and trying to pay these people, almost buying their safety. Audacity, as you're looking, you can see visions of another calm town, people of all races chatting and trading together as equals. But then there seems to be some sort of rift that cracks like a crack through ice that's more felt than seen. One race stands on one side, other races stand on the other. Clans are versus clans, and they're scrambling to seize resources from one another. Julian, you can see people walking along a road between towns, calm, happy, like they've done this trek 1,000 times before. But then there's a rustling in these bushes, and some sort of monster, trolls, goblins, something else, bursts through the undergrowth and attacks. And you also get this feeling in your chest that roads all over the land, they were familiar, they were safe, but they're not. They're not safe anymore. They're not safe. Gail, you're looking and you can see peaceful seaside towns with large merchant ships and smaller fishing ships moored at the docks. And then you can see a looming shadow building under the surface of the water off the coast, and huge waves rising up and washing whole towns away. Boats are being flung into the shore rock, and they're being shattered across the rocks.
Well, I'd like to roll an Arcana check.
So the whole thing's still going. This is
Whole thing
like
is-
an ongoing,
yeah.
repeating or just continuing vision. Okay.
They're all happening at the same sort of time, and a lot of them is like you get flashes of images and you get flashes of sounds and feelings. It's not as like if you were watching it on TV, it'd just be displayed the whole thing, but you're feeling it in all the different sort of senses.
I'm just kind of gripping my sword tighter and muttering to myself that I don't do the magic shit. Ghosts were bad enough. Now we've got magic ghost storms. Like this. Give me something I can stop, please.
I think Giel is like crab walking backwards again, but much slower this time, attempting to put audacity between itself and Omen.
This point I'm probably edging over towards Omen a little more, just because there's one familiar thing here, and okay.
That's okay. There between any 2 points, there's a straight line. Giel is fine with this.
Straight lines aren't my specialty.
I would like to immediately begin questioning the other people around me to ask if they've seen the same thing.
Okay, ask away.
Okay. I'm still on the ground, and so is Gil. So I turned to Gil first, and I was like, "Did you see roads? And then they were safe, and then they were not safe."
I'm seeing a lot of things now, but that's not exactly one of them.
What did you see?
Look, there's a lot of boats. I think that's a tsunami.
Oh, the second Hortense hears this, she gets up off the ground and goes, "We have to get to higher ground. Do you hear? There's a tsunami." Hortense doesn't do well under pressure.
And as Giel is sort of crab walking. Oh no, I am unmuted. Good. Crab walking backwards. Every so often, a hand goes to the scarf and like squeezes it a little bit to like, almost like reflexively, like it hasn't noticed exactly what it's doing. It's just.
Mm. Julian, what were you up to?
I'm honestly pretty like. Not much really shakes me. I'm usually pretty airheaded when it comes to most things like this. But the fact that I really do remember, that's bringing back some painful memories for me. That particular image has changed my demeanor a little bit, and I turn to Omen and I'm like, and I ask the creature, do you know anything about this? What does this mean? What's going on?
I'm just laughing that you referred to him as a creature. That's great. As you turn towards the fortune teller who is standing beside you, you do get a glimpse of those glowing eyes in that void before they fade out. And before he's able to respond to you, all of those winds start to calm and those visions stop. And he kind of falls over.
Oh, wow. Okay. So if he falls over, like, because I get the impression he's not completely corporeal. What does that look like? Like, do I hear the sounds of like?
Oh yeah, he sounds like he has mass. So his arms are not visible. So his ghosty arms, you can't see them, but he hasn't completely just face planted into the road. It's more like he kind of crumpled onto his knees, and then is half falling over. But he does look and sound like he has mass. Absolutely.
I mean, do I see that no one's gone down?
Oh yeah, everyone's welcome to see that he's fallen over.
Well, at that point, I'm coming over pretty quickly and just kind of kneeling down next to him and trying to look him over as best as you can with something like that.
Sure.
Throw on the ground next to us.
Okay. Do you want to do a roll of some sort for that, or?
Sure. What do I roll?
I think your first instinct is probably going to be to roll a medicine, given what I know of Audacity. But you're welcome to roll an Arcana, given as what I know of Omen, and what Audacity knows of Omen as well. Nice. Which was that? Was it an Arcana?
Medicine.
Medicine? Okay. The way that he crumpled, you can kind of get the impression that he's beyond exhausted. And you've also seen people who are magic exhausted as well, that they when they've expended all of their magic, you reckon that he's kind of just, he's spent. He's not hurt. He's just completely buggered, to be honest, and can't keep himself upright.
Well, at that point, I just kind of look up Julian and say, well, that was some unexpected drama. Always the irony. Yes, I will keep making fortune teller jokes about this fuck. New character, by the way. I said that out loud.
I love it.
I just gonna look down at home again and... Could you help me get him back into the tent? Maybe find him somewhere to lie down? I don't know what just happened, but... Seems to be finishing up now.
Can I get a perception check from everybody, please?
A what check, sorry?
Perception, please.
Sure.
Dang!
Oh yeah, we natural.
Yell is not having a good morning.
Well, it's definitely a situation that he's in, hey? However, that is ooh, one of those rolls is not like the other. Okay, we got a 23 with a nat 20, a 13, a dirty 20, and a 22. Okay, great. So I'm going to say that, Gil, you kind of notice because of the way you're moving, but it doesn't actually twig what it is at first. Everybody else, as you're sort of trying to gather yourselves after those winds have stopped and the shaking of the ground is actually slowing to a vague tremble, so it may as well have stopped, you notice that all of Omen's cards have fallen to the ground out of the wind. But each of you has a card caught on your hair or in your clothes. Gil, you don't really twig that it's a card, but Audacity, you got a nat 20. You can see that you and these 4 other people around you each have a card stuck to them in some way. Omen has
Sticking up out of my scarf, I think it's a twig at first.
Hey! Oh, I like it. Well done. Yeah, Omen, a card has landed very neatly on Omen's lap. But yeah, everybody's got a different card stuck to them from Omen's deck.
I'm just gonna kind of look around at this and... Well, that's something. Kind of pull my thought away. Try to...
Nina, did you touch your laptop again?
I have to move to a different room. The internet's so crappy here. I missed the last 4 minutes of what you were all saying.
Right, okay.
So there is this really dreadful feedback for the next 2 minutes.
Yeah. Do you wanna... I'm just gonna mute you while you do that. Okay. Cool. That was very loud. Now I've lost my train of thought. Choo-choo! Yes.
There were cards on everybody, and Audacity was doing something, I think, but we may need to take a moment for that. So I think, do you want me to give you a moment? So Giel is gonna sort of look around, finally notice everybody. I assume everybody else is sort of noticing the cards, I guess, picking them up and looking at them.
Mm-hmm.
And is finally gonna sort of pull the, fix up the scarf. Oh, there's a thing there. pull out the card and have a look at what card is stuck to it.
Okay, great. Now, I'm a dummy, and I stim by shuffling my cards, and I shuffled them back into the deck like a dope. Let's see. That's one, that's the other one. Ah, here we go. Ha ha ha, fantastic. They didn't get separated, that's good.
Wonderful.
Okay, so Gil, you find this card and you pick it out of your scarf, and it is this one, the Horseman.
Aha.
It has a picture of a skeletal figure atop a horse with a sword. Yes, a sword. Very ominous.
Interesting. It's sort of going to look at the card, look over at Omen, look at the card, and have a little personal crisis for a second. Everybody else can do something in the meantime.
So I'd have put the sword away and just start trying to help Omen up, and also grab his card off the ground in front of him. Seems like you probably want to know what the hell's going on.
Yep.
That seems like a thing. I'm pretty sure that mine will have impaled itself on one of my horns, so that can just stay there. That'll be secure. Yeah. Start trying to help Omen up and back into the tent to lie down.
Alright, no worries. So you pick up the card that was at Omen's feet, and it is this one. Which way up does it go? That way. The mists. It's got a graveyard with mist. Apt. And he kind of, as you're helping Omen up, he does kind of lean on you quite heavily. And like you physically interacted with Omen before, you know he has mass, you know he has some sort of humanoid shape, and you can definitely feel that. You can move him around, no worries. He also doesn't weigh much. Julian, what are you up to?
I'll totally have a look at my card.
You pick the card off of your, probably stuck to your shoulder pads or something like that, and it's this one, the Innocent. I have no idea if you're looking at our webcams or not.
I am looking.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so let me just clarify first. Omen and Audacity are back in the tent.
They're moving towards it, yeah.
Yep. And both Gil and Hortense are running away from the marketplace.
Oh, I think
Gil is stationary on the ground with Audacity between it and Omen, and isn't moving either towards the markets or away. Is just sort of has pulled out the card and is having a look at it. But yeah, still on the ground and in the same place in this sort of general vicinity.
I might run up to Omen and Audacity and say, hey, did you and ask Audacity, did you I can see you helping this fortune teller here. Did you learn anything? Like I could see you like looking them over and trying to figure out what was wrong with them. Do you know what's up? Do you know what's happening?
Well, a bit of magic just happened. I think he's a bit worn out by it. I don't know anything about the magic personally. All I know is probably best for him to lie down for a bit.
Oh yeah, no, that takes me back. My teacher asked me to cast, I think it was called like magic missile or something once, and I had to sleep like a whole day.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's part of why I avoid magic for the most part. Most complicated thing I ever cast is stab.
I like the sound of that. I'm jealous, honestly.
Yeah, well, many are.
Fair enough. What do you think we should do about him? Do you reckon he's going to be okay?
I mean, he should be. At this point, I'm gonna help him into. Is there a bed in his tent?
So the front part of the tent has kind of got a dividing wall, and it's set up in a aesthetically spooky kind of arrangement with the table for fortunes. And this is a much bigger table than the one that is now in splinters out the front. So this one would be for really large spreads of cards rather than smaller ones. But there is a like you can tell based on the shape of the tent. That this is a dividing wall, and you can probably push it back to find a bedroll behind there.
Well, if the table's clear, I might just help him to his chair behind that table for a start, and that'll be a step up. And as I help him down his table, put his card in front of him, and just kind of pluck mine off my horn and have a look at whatever's going on.
Okay, great. So the card that you pull down from your horn is undamaged, surprisingly. But it is this one, the dungeon. At least I assume that's how you pronounce that, even though it's not how it's spelt, but you know, donjon. And it has a picture of a dungeon on it.
Technically, it has a dungeon, not a donjon. Donjon is a type of tower.
I mean, there are no external windows in this picture, so who knows?
That's just me being me.
Nope, that's fine. All right. I'm going to. I may have.
If we're still waiting on Hortense, I can do a thing. But did you want to double check what's going on there first, or?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether or not she can unmute herself because I muted her. So I'm going to unmute her and see what happens. So let's unmute. Ticket. All right, Lena, how you going?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm in another room and the internet's much better. So yeah.
You're still playing with your laptop though.
I'm not.
Oh, okay. There's okay. We'll have to figure that one out for next time.
Whoever's got the microphone on it.
Okay, we'll figure it out. So you were saying that because your internet was a bit balked in the other room, you've missed some stuff. Where did you hear up to?
Oh, I was able to figure it out from context clues.
Okay, sweet. So you have Julian and Audacity helping Omen back into his tent. Gil, you were going nearby or staying still where you were?
I was about to approach the tent and interact with people against my better judgment, but Hortense go first because I've acted more frequently in the last little section. So,
all right. So yes, you have seen all these horrible visions, and you have noticed as all of this is going down that one of these fortune tellers' cards has been caught upon your person, possibly wedged between two of your fabulous hats.
Okay, I would like to look at this card.
Okay. You grab it and you have found the artifact card.
Oh.
It's very spooky.
So I'm also a druid. I don't know if that helps at all, but can I roll Arcana to see if I know what that means?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. 16.
All right, for a 16. So you're familiar with the concept of the Taroka cards. You know that they are used to tell fortunes of various different kinds. You're not 100% certain what this one means necessarily, but like it's called the artifact, and it has a picture of a in this deck it's got a jeweled skull in a jar on a stand. So it's pretty fancy. So you think it's some sort of physical object. It means something about maybe a treasure. It's quite literal, possibly.
I would like to put this card in my dressing gown pocket.
Okay. Great. You gonna do anything else? because you have been departed from by the fortune teller, the young blonde man, and the tiefling lady.
I would like to follow them.
No, great.
Yeah, I want to follow them into the thing and be like, what's going on? You seem to know something about something.
Okay, cool. So you're going to follow the group into the tent. Gil, you are, I assume, going to go last into the tent.
Yeah, I think Giel is gonna hold up. Wait one moment. There we go. I'm done. So Giel is going to sort of pull itself to its feet, look at the card, look at the tent, and sort of like hesitatingly wander up to the tent, poke its head around, and go, I've got one of your. I think you might want this back.
Okay, cool. So, Julian and Audacity have propped Omen into his chair behind the large table that has a dark blue tablecloth on it. And he's sitting, and he's a little bit slumped. You can tell just from the way that he's slumped in his chair, he's completely buggered. But he does sort of lift his head, and he looks over at the card that you're holding, and then he looks at the Mists card that Audacity had picked up from the ground in front of him. And, you can't see a frown, but you kind of get this vibe of him frowning, and he just sort of says, "The Weave is making a call. They've made it quite plain by putting the Mists in front of me."
I mean, that seems a little bit dramatic. They telling you to do something, or telling you they've decided something?
It is hard to say. The way that I read cards has a certain structure. When the cards remove themselves from my deck on their own will, their meanings must be interpreted without any guidance.
Well, that just sounds tedious. At this point, I put down my card next to his, and kind of like vague impression of what I remember of how he lays out his cards, of just like, oh, I'm gonna put this here. Looking around, I think everybody who was nearby might have gotten one of the cards stuck to them. The rest of the deck is gonna be a bit of work to pick up again.
I have ways of gathering the cards if they've scattered.
Handy.
Giel at that is gonna look at the card in its hand, like scuttle over, put it on the table, and then scuttle back to the door.
Hortense just walks all the way in and shows the card and goes, "I know you're not allowed to tell me what this means, but is there like a big book of magic cards that I can like check this against?"
I mean, I'm pretty sure that telling people what the cards mean is Owen's entire thing.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's not like they were, presumably, it's not like this fine person was inherently born with this skill, right? I mean, unless you were. So there must have been a learning process.
The learning process never really ceases when it comes to interpreting the will of the Weave through the cards they show.
So it's like ongoing professional development, I get you.
In a way. These cards that were presented to each of us are all from the high deck. They are all cards of significance. I do not know in particular whether they relate to past or future, but I know that the Mists tells of a quest. And I was already on a quest when I came to this island. So the way I interpret that card is that I must take it literally. And there are indeed some mists. And he sort of gives a bit of a nod in the direction of the Fogbank.
Is the Fogbank still approaching, by the way, or is it...
So the Fogbank itself didn't really move, but when the ground was shaking and there was all those sounds of explosions, there was smoke and ash and soot kind of coming over the top of it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So the fog is still where it always was. There's just extra particulate ness.
Yeah.
I had a really intelligent sounding word and then I forgot it. So.
All good.
I just kind of look down at the cards like, well, if yours is being a bit literal with the mist, mine looks a bit prison-y, and I hope you're not going to tell me that that's common, because I've not been in prison, because, well, why would I ever have been? But if that's going to try to be literal, I'm going.
Grab my drink. I left my drink in the other room. I don't want to get up. Well, okay. So Hortense is like, well, I guess we have to go on adventure now. It would be a missed opportunity. But if we're doing this, I'm not doing it in my jammies or with this many hats. And so I want to go back to my
I'm not done with that many hats.
I've got like 5 hats on, and I've still got like, and I'm wearing a dressing gown. I'm not playing a Arthur Dent XP.
Yeah, I think you just keep them on.
Mm-hmm.
These are some of my finest hats. I'm not losing them in a volcano. You're all welcome to join me in my wagon, or I'm going to go get some more tea. So I'm also happy to bring tea back if Omen would like some tea.
Tea.
I mean, Omen would probably just start looking at it, but
What kind of tea?
Green.
Yeah, green's not bad.
Yeah, it's like a geisha green, so it's the good stuff.
Oh, good stuff. Yeah. Do you reckon you could maybe take a... Because it seems like you know a little bit about herbs and stuff like that. Do you think that there's anything you could give to our friend here to help them at all?
There are 2 wolves inside of me. One of these wants to play this seriously. The other wants to suggest fantasy cocaine. I've got some herbs and tinctures that may be able to help poor dear. Let me go see what I can do. And I head off to my wagon and I change into something a bit less dressing gown.
Mm-hmm.
And like to roll a medicine check to make like a really nice like pick me up drink for Omen.
All right, sure. Roll 'em bones. 16. All right, that's pretty good. Yeah. So you have been able to gather that he is magically and physically exhausted. While and you don't know what he is because you can't really see anything apart from cloak. So giving slightly more inventive concoctions may be ill-advised. However, you can quite easily come up with some sort of fantasy espresso to give him a bit of a boost.
Yeah. Do I have to roll for that?
No, the 16 is fine.
Okay. I also take off basically all of my hats.
Okay.
Except for this one. This is the hat I keep on. I've posted it in art and stuff.
Oh, okay. Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Very, very grandma.
It is delightful.
Yeah, it's my everyday, but like it's not my church hat. It's like maybe I'll do some gardening in this later hat.
Okay. I will keep this in mind and add it all future artworks.
Really like playing old ladies.
Splendid. Julian, how are you doing at the moment?
Yeah, so we've sorted out Omen as best as we can, I guess. I guess I turn towards everyone else and ask, is are we going on a quest then? What's our plan? Do you think we should try and figure out what's going to happen?
Does this presumably this island has a system of government?
It
So-
does.
I mean, like, I don't know I know personally if there was an earthquake, that my first response wouldn't be, I need to fix this personally. I would check with emergency services and see what they were doing.
Yeah,
So-
that's a really good point, actually.
Not to be boring on Maine, but I think we should check to see if the police force or whatever on this island is doing anything first before we're like, this is our problem.
Okay. Well, you want to roll a perception for while you are en route to and or from your caravan.
23.
Nice. Okay, so now that the excitement has kind of dulled down, you can see the town is reacting. So people who had things and people who were knocked over by the shaking and the damages from the debris that came over the fog, people are responding. So there's already some people who are repairing the minor damage, and you can actually hear the sounds of a town that was rather rudely awoken. Particularly over in the tourist half of the island, like you can hear the hubbub over there. So it's relatively calm here just by the nature of the buildings and the people who were here. So you reckon that the security, and it's less police and more security on an island like this, are more dealing with people going a little bit nuts. So on the tourist side, some people might have still been drunk and may have started, it's the end of the world, we're going to start looting kind of thing, even though it was actually relatively minor in the scheme of things.
Well, I would like to relay that information to the rest of the party and be like, okay, well, it looks like the tourists are getting shirty, so it doesn't look like there's going to be an investigation of this eruption anytime soon.
I think probably hearing the commotion, Gil's going to sort of pull the scarf up a little bit and maybe pull it a little bit tighter. I think probably I should note that from the first, because I actually haven't given a full description of Gil yet, nor has there been any art. So I think now that like we're in closer quarters, it's more obvious that this creature's skin is like a mottled moss and swamp green, and above the big thick scarf that's pulled up, you can see that nose is sort of a pretty generous term for what appears to be just sort of a flat region of face that has a couple of nostril slits in it. The scarf is pulled up so you can't see its mouth, but you can see that it has big fins on the sides of its head, bony ones that look like they're a bit pointed at the ends, and its eyes are quite large for its face, with black sclera, grey irises, and W-shaped pupils. So, just so that you're all picturing things.
He's freaky looking.
I did say weird little fish dude, and I meant weird little fish dude.
I'm just looking at the next picture I get to show you guys, and oh dear.
So so all the tourists and are now looting things, basically.
Not all of them, just some of the ones that had still been drinking up until the point of the assumed volcanic eruption.
Well, is are they kind of I might actually I might step outside myself to have a look and see with my own eyes. Is there, when it comes to like any of this any of this looting going on, does it look like there are other people like trying to resist them or anything like that, or is it otherwise pretty silent and well, I mean, not that's not a good word, but
roll a perception. That's a 9. The looting isn't happening in this part of the town, so you're in the more residential, average merchant area, like the normal marketplace. Whereas the looting, you can hear noises of distress from further away, but we're talking a couple of kilometers away, kind of thing. And it's hard for you to tell from here, but like in this area that you can see with absolute clarity, it's actually fairly chill. So you reckon if there is a whole lot of going on, it's going to be the fancy pants shops where, you know, they sell overpriced jewelry and quote unquote magic weapons and artifacts and stuff. The kitschy shit that you try and get tourists to buy when you're at a tourist destination, that costs 300 times more than it really should.
All right. Well, I think we should. I think Hortense was right. I think we should see if we can locate. I think we should probably go to the guild actually, and or something to figure out if there's any sort of response going on as far as like leadership or anything is concerned.
Mm-hmm. Are you saying that to the group?
Oh, sorry. Yep. Sorry. Yes, I say that Hortense is getting changed, so I say that to Audacity, and I say that to Gil, and I'm going to say that I even though I only just saw Gil for the first time, it has absolutely no bearing on him whatsoever.
Thanks, I guess. How about, why don't I'm gonna stay here and keep the cloak company. And sorry.
I adore you. Carry on.
Lost my voice. I'm laughing too hard. And you let us know what the guild needs, and you can come back and let us know. How does that sound?
Yeah, sounds good. All right, I'll head off and do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna admit that I think I'll be staying with Omen here as well. Magic shit seems to be going down, and I'm gonna stay with the magic weirdo. Best magic weirdo I've met in months. And if the fish is gonna stay and keep us company as well, that's grand.
I'll go with and go talk to the guild. I want to know what's happening. I'm curious.
Okay. So, I'm going to say Hortense came back with this fantasy espresso for Omen, and then she and Julian are going to exit the tent to head up towards Foghorn Hall. Is that's what I'm understanding is has happened?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So the two of you are going to step out of the tent and head to down that path. And as you're doing that, back inside the tent, Omen is actually he's going to be able to manifest one of his spooky ghost hands, but it looks really skinny. Like it wasn't anything like it was before all like nonsense happened. Like those are fairly healthy looking arm, but now they're really quite thin and skeletal. And he manages to manifest one who picks up the cup. Gives a little bit of a sip, and then he does manage to stand up from the chair, and he just sort of looks at Audacity and then looks at Gil, and then he says, "If we are being called to action, we cannot wait. I suggest we step outside." And he's going to very slowly drift towards the door, and you can both sort of see the bottom hem of his cloak is just dragging on the floor as he glides towards the door.
Can I just ask as well?
Mm-hmm.
Did he like the fantasy espresso?
I'm actually going to roll a die for that because I haven't rolled anything yet. I'm going to roll... I forgot what Omen's stats were. They make me laugh. It was bitter as hell. It woke him up. That's for dang sure.
Yeah, that'll do. It worked.
I'm a spooky pal. I'm not going to disagree with you if you're saying that the world velvet is saying that we need to be doing something. But are you sure you're in much of a state to be going anywhere and doing much at the moment? You got your cards scattered all over the place. I don't know what you're doing during that little storm, but you're seeming a bit messed up.
I will recover. There will be time.
Well, that's just grand.
Are you two going to follow him outside of his tent?
Yep, I think as the other two sort of pass through the tent door, behind them they can probably hear Giel go and then step out of the door.
Small amounts of hyperventilating. Great. Okay, cool. Can I get a perception from Julian and Hortense, please? Nice. And that's a nat 1.
Oh.
Okay. Grandma is not perceiving. Julian, as you and Hortense are sort of getting maybe part of the way there, you glance over your shoulder and you can see what Audacity and Gil don't actually have to roll for because they're standing right there. So once you guys get out of Omen's tent, he turns to face it, and he just looks at his tent fairly intently for a second, and then it kind of collapses in on itself into like a very, very small amount of fabric for the size of this tent. It just sort of poof, and then half rolls itself up. It's very messy, but it just sort of collapses and then rolls into a bundle of fabric that's about the size of a loaf of bread.
Just kind of glared. I was like, "You're telling me that I spent 20 minutes this morning rolling up my tent nice and neat, and you can just be doing that? That's just rude."
And he just sort of glides over it, and you can see him sort of kneel next to it. And it's out of your view for a second, like he leans in front of it, and then he stands up again, and it's gone.
Body magic users making everything look easy.
I don't see this at all, do I?
Nah.
Okay, so is everyone else reacting like, what? That's amazing. And I'm just like, what? What's amazing? What happened?
I think Yell's just gonna mutter, yeah, it's probably good I didn't stay inside that then. You can either sit on my mouse or get off. Either way, don't get mad when I move the mouse.
It's a Dylan. Oh. It's not D&D if a cat doesn't interfere, I think. Happens
Exactly.
all the time. Julian, how are you reacting to that spectacle that you happened to glance over in time to see?
I'm pretty I'm fairly used to seeing various magical happenings and stuff like that, so I'm probably not going to be as shocked as, like, say, some people would be, but I do watch with curiosity. I don't think he necessarily says anything. He's just watching and interested.
Okay. Cool. Alrighty. So that happened. Omen collapsed his tent magically. See you shaking your fist. Okay, so Julian and Hortense, you have followed the path past Hortense's caravan and up to the Foghorn Hall at the edge of the Fogbank. And the air feels even more humid here than it did at the other end of the path. And if you haven't wandered up this end before, it's hard to imagine that it could be any more humid. It's extreme humidity because of all of that fog right there. And the hall has a pair of big wooden doors at the front, and they're not locked. You can just push them open.
All right. I push them open and enter. Are you coming along, Hortense?
Yes, I follow you, but I let you open the doors because I'm a lady.
Fair enough.
Oh dear. Okay, cool. So you open the doors, and the first room of this building does look like any other Adventurers Guild that either of you might have been to. So it's got a pair of long tables. Like if you've played Skyrim, picture any of the Jarl's Hall, the bigger Jarl's Halls that have these two very long banquet tables down either side, and there's these big fire pits sort of built into the floor, and there's chandeliers, and we've had medieval events that kind of look like this except without the indoor fire pit. And there are people around, and there's plenty of doors that sort of lead off to different parts of the hall. But when you enter, there's a couple of people who stop and they turn and look at you, and one person in particular who's quite a large, heavy-set sort of fellow, and just sort of turns around and gives you this bit of a wave and says, "Welcome to Foghorn Hall. How can we be of service?"
Hi. All right. Sorry, I'm still getting my fantasy head on. What's have you heard the noise outside? Do you? What are you doing in here? Everyone should be out helping, shouldn't they? Like, and I'm probably a bit like sounding a bit flustered and stuff as I do it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Actually, that was all of it.
Sure. So this guy, he does nod at that. No, we have heard the commotion. We felt the shaking. It didn't shake the foundations too badly. Thankfully, this is a very heavy-set building. But we do have people who have already been dispatched to the town. We are the skeleton crew who must remain here for our purpose.
The second you said we are the skeleton crew, I heard that echoed in my head, but we are the Munchkin people.
That's very different. Very, very different.
Do I know any of these people? Because I sell healing potions and stuff, so presumably I would know at least one of them.
Oh yeah, you would have seen them around. Like, you're the kind of busybody who does make a point of knowing the various different people in the town. Like, you would know the baker, you'd know the tailor, you'd know the blacksmith, all that sort of stuff. And you would know these people as well. So while these are not NPCs I have come up with designs or names for, you would know them. They are the main people of the Foghorn Hall Adventurers Guild. And the person that Julian is talking to is the Guildmaster.
Okay, do you have a name for this guildmaster, or can I name them?
Go ahead and name them.
Their name is Terence McGillicuddy.
Okay. The Guildmaster Terence. Okay, great.
I would like to walk up to Guildmaster Terence and reach out and forcibly shake their hand, like ScoMo style, and go, "I'm sure you're doing an excellent job, Terence, but as you can be aware, as I'm a very old lady and my bones aren't what they used to be, I find earthquakes of this manner very startling. A terrible way to start the morning. Do we know if we're going to have any others? I didn't even know there was a volcano on this island."
Well, Miss Hortense, I must admit I was not aware either. From what we have been able to tell, all of those shakes and the debris and the sounds came from the other side of the Fogbank. And I'm sure you're very well aware of how much information we're able to get from the other side.
Right. Okay. Is anyone attempting to go to the other side to try and figure out what happened, or is that just not on the cards?
We do not send people through the fog. That is not our purpose. We are here to make sure anyone who wants to has what they need, what they might need. We don't know exactly what's there.
So, are any of the members of the Adventurers Guild actually adventurers who just sit around and talk about the good old days?
No, not really. Like, they're more administrators, and like the guild has their own potions master who you have spoken to at length about various different potions and this, that, and the other thing. And there's a smith who works at the guild as well, who part-times down at the smith in town, and things like that. Like, they're not it's not like an adventurers guild in any other capital city or anything like that, where you've got people coming and going on quests and a quest board and stuff like that. This is kind of like somewhere between an adventurers guild and like an inn almost, but with its own little blacksmith and a little potions shop and things like that.
Oh, okay. Right. Can I ask what knowledge we have of what's beyond the Fogbank?
You're welcome to ask, yeah.
Okay. What's beyond? Do we know anything about what's beyond the Fogbank?
Regrettably, we don't. The only thing that we know is that once you get a certain distance into the fog, that is the last we'll see of you. Even if you carry a lantern, the light will disappear.
Okay. Can I ask a follow-up question? Like, this may be a guild question, this may be a DM question.
Mm-hmm.
Are there dragons in this reality?
I'm going to say yes. Yes.
Okay. I reckon it's a dragon.
It's not out of the question, but unfortunately, we don't know. And the fact that there has been smoke and ash coming over the fog is actually quite a surprise, because we've not had anything come back.
Oh, okay. I would like to leave the guild hall really abruptly, like mid-conversation.
Okay.
Like I've clearly gotten bored of this conversation, and I'm rude, but I don't know that I'm rude. And I'd like to go outside and grab the nearest handful of ash.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to roll an Arcana check to see if it's like regular ash or like magic ash.
Okay. rolling bones.
Okay, and then I'm gonna let other people do stuff for a while. Sorry.
Sure.
All right. I'll probably join Hortense soon. But I wanted to ask. I wanted to. I wanted to ask the guildmaster first is on like just some more specifics about entering the fog and like has anyone like tried, I don't know, getting a fishing rod or something and just throwing a line over and seeing what happens when they pull it back out or something?
Foghorn Hall has been here for a very long time, young man. We have tried over the years all manners of ways to get things from the other side of the Fogbank beyond the limits. We've tried fishing lines, we've tried ropes, we've tried people tied to ropes, but something always severs the line once you get past a certain point. We've tried having people we know with magic that can telepath the blah. I mean, he actually will stumble over his words because he's not actually very good with magic himself. He'll sort of stumble a bit. There's like with magic that can send messages to people's brains across distances, and they will react as if they were on another plane of existence altogether.
Oh, is it literally the edge of the world, like in a video game?
Shrug.
Interesting. All right. I'm really sorry for my friend that I came here with. I mean, we all had a pretty bad morning, to be honest. But thank you for your time, and I guess I'll go have a look for myself, and I leave.
I do like that you referred to Hortense as a friend, having known her for all of like maybe an hour. I think that's sweet.
He sees most people as his friend, to be honest. Unless they're like objectively hostile, like he feels like everyone's his friend.
I did give you tea as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. All right. So, that was a nat 1 on that Arcana, Hortense. So it's ash. It could have come straight out of a fire pit, as far as you know.
The way I would like to canonically have tested whether it was regular ash or magic ash was that I put it in my mouth.
Of course. Makes sense.
And then I'm like, tastes like ash. So I get like literally nothing useful out of it.
All right. Sounds good.
Against poison.
Oh dear. Okay. So, Gil and Audacity, what are you up to now that you have seen Omen unpitch his tent?
Right, so if you're saying that the World Velvet, the canvas of existence is saying that we should be going on an adventure into these mists, I'd like a little bit more information from your fabric, weave, whatever. We did have some more cards showing up in ominous ways, if you don't mind the pun. So maybe you can tell us what the rest of those are meant to mean. If the mist is that you got saying that we should be getting up to some stupid things.
Well, the mists, if we take each card separately, the mists is unexpected or mysterious, something that cannot be avoided, and a great quest or journey that will try one's spirit. And I just dropped it because I'm fiddling with them. Which seems like it is what is happening. The card that that was caught by the lady elf, the artifact. This one is an important physical object that must be obtained or protected or perhaps even destroyed. But it is not insignificant. Your card, and he points one of the cards down to Gil, and it's the Horseman card. Speaks of death, disaster, wealth or property, or a horrible defeat or the end of a bloodline.
Sure. I'm not entirely sure I have one of those, but yeah, all right.
From the young man, the innocent. One who may not necessarily know they are in danger. Or perhaps they do and are helpless to do anything about it. And Lady Audacity, the dungeon, your card. Isolation. There's any number of ways these cards could be interpreted.
Well, I'm finding it a bit worrying that everybody else's cards have these long explanations and mine gets one word. You'd think they could have called it that word. Could have called it isolation instead of the dungeon.
It's actually that I didn't actually put the whole translation into my notes because I'm silly.
Yes, but I'm going to take that as in character and
He is trying to be dramatic as well.
and what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
I love those situations you have like cards. It's like death. Oh no, that just means change. Like, oh no, the happy buddy card. That means nuclear apocalypse.
The tower, that's the one that means death.
Oh dear. Isolation can mean many different things, Lady Audacity. Could be literal, a person apart from all others. Or you could be a prisoner of some other method. A prisoner of one's beliefs, a prisoner of someone else's.
Prisoner of capitalism.
That too.
So are there many people around us at the moment as we're walking down the through the streets, or?
No, not hugely. So most people are sticking to the town. The road that leads between that little bit of the market where Omen's tent was, past Hortense's caravan towards Foghorn Hall, that's not a main thoroughfare. So people don't tend to linger around there, and at the moment they've got bigger problems than gallivanting up towards the Fogbank.
All right, excellent.
Omen, are you saying that you think that the magic stuff is telling us that we need to be going into the fog where nobody comes back from? Because I will point out the nobody comes back from their thing, so it's not really a decision we can go back with.
That's true.
I mean, nobody's come back so far. We're protagonists.
I'm sure 100 generations of protagonists have thought the same thing.
There's a skit I'm going to send you later, Mandy. I think you'll like it.
An hour and a quarter ago, I said, this isn't Toonkind. And then you guys, I could have quite easily made this Toonkind. You would have been perfect. Anyway, Omen is just going to look at the assembled group and then look back up at the Fogbank. And it is true that no one has come back from that bank of fog. And no one knows what's on the other side. Not even I.
Maybe they just don't want to go back. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you say your piece.
I
Players
was just
get
going to say, maybe
precedence.
they just don't want to go back.
Yella's just gonna give Justin a look, like, just the slow pan up and the slow pan down, and sort of,
Well, Shannon was saying earlier that sometimes they'll send a telepath and it'll be like they're from another plane. So maybe they do come back, just not on this plane. Maybe they come in on this side and they come out in Fantasy Delaware or something.
Oh, that sounds worse.
Fantasy Connecticut then. I think that's slightly better.
Oh, who knows? I've never been there. Yeah, so Omen just sort of nods at what Julian said. There are numerous people who have taken that journey across the fog, and some of them did never want to come back for various different reasons. I cannot predict what is on the other side, and I cannot ask that you accompany me. But it is where I believe that the weave and the cards are calling me to go. So it is where I am going.
Well, shit.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty curious. I'd like to find out. I'll go with you.
Hortense would also like to go because she's a busybody, and there's been this whole part of this island she's never been able to see, and it's been bugging her for ages. But she is going to go to her wagon first and like collect every bit of like useful spell ingredients and potions and stuff that I can, and that Shannon will let me.
All right, cool. I'm going to just say that you do that. Fantastic.
Cool.
Anyone else want to do anything to prep?
Well, I've heard that the guild up on this hall over here equips people if they're going through, so should we double check if they've got anything they want to give us?
It would be wise.
Because if you're going to be going through there, I'm not exactly going to be letting you go without me, because there might be something worse than the boat right over here. And that was freaky enough.
I am very grateful, Lady Audacity. I'd be glad to have you travel with me, however far the path leads.
Well, yeah, I'm here looking for a way to get away from a couple of things. If they follow me through that, then, oh, that'd be an interesting conversation.
Sort of see Gil's ears flutter a little bit and then point very slightly downwards and say, well, suppose if we want to get through the fog, we're probably going to have to go by boat, don't we?
The path to Foghorn Hall continues on. While I don't know where the island stops once you get through the fog, I imagine we'll find out in due course.
I imagine that having someone that swims is probably going to be useful, isn't it?
I can't say that I qualify.
I would like to buy an inflatable dinghy.
We might talk about that after the session. We'll talk about what gear we've got. Yes, Omen is currently having flashbacks to the last time he was in the water. We are going to have to figure out that static problem when we're finished, Lena. We'll figure it out.
Headphones.
Yes, Owen was just having flashbacks to when he got knocked into the ocean by a deck chair, I think.
Have we explained to the players what happened in the last campaign?
No, I imagine it'll come out in conversation.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, and please don't. This is fun.
They had a terrible boat trip.
So Omen is going to he has packed up his tent and he's going to take a few, I say steps, but he doesn't really bob so much. He sort of glides, and then he stops and he turns, and you can see him. His ghost arm is kind of still skeletal, and he clicks his fingers, and you can see, all of you can see the cards that had sort of landed haphazardly around when the wind stopped. They start to flutter and judder in place, and then they jump up and flick through the air, and then you got that really nice thip as they all just collapse into the nice neat deck in the palm of his hand.
That's really cool.
Oh, that's convenient.
Mm.
Well, all right. Well, to Foghorn Hall, I guess.
Cool. So we're all going back up to the hall?
Yep. Do anyone know if this hall actually has a foghorn on it?
Good
Please,
ask.
let's not find out.
Could always ask. So you go up to the hall, and like when Julian and Hortense were here just before, so there's that long hall, and there are people milling around, and the guildmaster is talking to some of the other people who are there, and they're already seem to be packing some stuff into a few satchels.
I just walk straight in. It's like, so here's the place to get supplies and stuff if we're going into the fog. And it looks like we're going into the fog to find out what's going on.
The guildmaster stops and turns as you enter, and he says, I had assumed from what the young man was saying that yes, there was going to be a party trying to cross the Fogbank. Yes, we are currently in the process of packing some rations and other supplies for you. Do you have anything in particular that you wish to take with you?
I mean, I suppose that you don't actually know what we need to have to be prepared for that, because you don't know what's in there.
Unfortunately not. It could be sea, it could be mountains, it could be desert, who knows?
Hortense speaks up and requests an inflatable dinghy and some mountain climbing gear, like the sticks that you use, the spiky shoes.
Okay.
Kittens and crampons.
Yes,
Yep.
Thank
that's
you.
the one.
I am going to have to think about how I can justify an inflatable dinghy in a fantasy setting, so leave that one with me, but all the other stuff, absolutely sure.
I would imagine that, you know how like really early soccer balls were just inflated like pig's bladders and stuff? It's just a lot of those tied together, and inflating it is a nightmare.
Yeah.
There is a D&D item that is a folding boat. There could be a, like, scaled back version of those.
I assume magic item, boat in
Yeah.
a bottle kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay.
A folding boat.
Sure. Okay. He will
So-
give you a small floating boat and some climbing gear.
Okay. And I want to make it clear as well, I've attached a little string around the bottom of my grandma hat, so it won't fly off if it's windy.
Okay, you have a little chin strap. Okay, great. Sweet. Anything else?
Do you know what a deck prism is? I asked the guildmaster.
The DM doesn't know what that is, so I'm going to say no.
Right. The deck prism's a type of well, it's a cut glass object that's basically used to light up areas in the dark. And basically how it works is you position it close to where the sun's hitting, and if you position it in the correct way, basically the sunlight hits it and then reflects into areas that are undercover and stuff like that, and you can they're actually used in indoor ship areas and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, he's gonna... Actually, I'm gonna roll him a dice. No, that's a nat one. He's gonna nod and then shake his head. That sounds like some real specialized equipment, I'm sorry. We don't have anything like that here. We've got the basic supplies and a few magical items and potions and things, but nothing like that.
I mean, magical items could be pretty useful in this situation. What sort of things do you have there?
Well, we have the boat that Lady Hortense requested. We also have a small bushel of good berries in a special box that they don't expire. And we also have some stones of fast speech, which we can offer you.
Oh no, those could be useful, because I often get a bit far away from things if all's going to plan.
All right, well, I will put those in your in your pack.
And I think I've had gooseberries, but I'm pretty sure I've heard that they're pretty good for trail ration sort of thing.
Hortense is a druid, so she would know that they are typically effects that typically only last a day, I think it is, 24 hours. So that there's got this little goodberry box. It's a little punnet, and it keeps them good for a little bit longer. So there's normal food, and then there's a magic little punnet of goodberries, pair of stone of fast speeches, and there is one health potion each.
Just basic?
Just basic. I will type this all out for you later.
Yep.
Anyone else got any specific requests that they want to attempt from Foghorn Hall before we ship out?
I mean, anything off my list, but
A little bit much for session 1.
No, I think Yell's just going to take the pack that's offered, sort of silently look through it, mentally catalogue everything, and just accept what it's been given.
Great.
I would like to give a letter to the guildmaster and ask him to mail it in case I don't come back.
Okay. He will put it aside, and he's writing himself a reminder to mail it in a year.
Cool.
Sweet. Okay. So, anyone got anything else they would like to do before this next part happens?
Yeah, Giel's gonna sort of put the pack down. Go. I'll be back in a sec. I've got one thing to do before we go. And is gonna sort of scuttle out the door, go back to its little hideout on the island, and pick up a trinket or two, from its stash and return.
Okay. Sweet. So I'm going to say that by the time Gil comes back from doing that, everybody else has gathered all the things that Foghorn Hall has provided them and stepped back outside and is waiting by the edge of the Fogbank on the path. And there is a fairly clearly defined path. It's got 2 little lanterns on either side, which you can still see through the fog, but then it's just white as far as the eye can see in that direction.
I'm just going to raise the point of, if this is a spot that everybody else goes in through, do we want to try somewhere a little bit different?
This is the easiest place to enter. Did you have something else in mind, Lady Audacity?
Well, I'm just thinking, if everybody who's gone in through this spot hasn't come back, do we walk maybe 20, 30 meters that way and try going in there?
Omen is just going to give the group a bit of a look to hear opinions.
Hortense is already walking into the fog. She's gone. She's in.
Just the sound of palm. Bad idea.
Oh dear. Okay.
I'm gonna chase after Hortense. Mostly because if like one person's already run in, I have to be there to see what happens.
Fair enough. Gil, what are you doing?
Giel's gonna kind of look up at Audacity and Omen, and then at the fog at the other two, and go, "This is gonna turn out to have been a really bad idea, isn't it?"
Oh yeah, I would just like to note before I go in that I think this is a bad idea. So, I mean, this way, either we're right, or it's fine. Good result for us either way.
Well,
Not sure I like the way you think.
You get used to it.
Apparently.
And Omen is going to do a little, his shoulders sort of shudder a little bit as if he was laughing just a little bit. And then he's going to glide in after them.
Let's be sitting right beside him.
Alright, cool. Can I please get a Constitution saving throw from everybody, please?
Oh, I'm a really old lady.
Skill number 3 comes through.
Oh,
Splendid.
I got a 7.
I didn't put a D
To
in
be
there.
fair, you all did go on a quest with an elderly elf.
Technically, the elderly elf went on the quest and we're just following.
I mean, yeah, fair.
Yeah, okay, what do we got? Okay, I mean, this tracks because, yeah, aforementioned elderly elf got the 7. Omen's still buggered, so he got a 6. Let's see. Julian's fine, you got a 19. Gil, that actually tracks really, really well as well. Yeah, actually, this all makes perfect sense. So as you guys are moving through the Fogbank, it's damp. It's heavy damp. Gil, you're fine. You're 100% okay. This you have felt less crushing weight in the bottom of the ocean. It's like, yeah, whatever. It's great.
Gil's actually going to take the scarf off once we get into the fog and it starts to get real humid.
It's a perfect environment for the fish guy. Audacity, that was a 5. You're wearing several layers. You can just sort of feel the moisture soaking into your clothes. It's really unpleasant. And it makes your clothes feel really heavy. And like you're a tiefling. Water isn't necessarily your thing. Julian, you're not wearing super heavy fabrics, and so you are getting damp, and like there is a sheen of damp on your chest plate and on your pauldrons, but it's not greatly uncomfortable. Hortense with a 7. You're wearing a little wool hat. Wool doesn't do well with water. You may as well be in the rain. Yeah, it's unpleasant. You sort of feel all the moisture coming out of your hat and dripping onto your scalp. It's unpleasant.
I'm singing like old songs to keep my spirits up, like she'll be coming round the mountain when she comes, and I'm like no, I the rest of you can sing with me if you want, but she's like singing to like ignore the dampness.
Fair enough. And Omen, you guys can also, as you're moving through the fog, you can't really see one another if you get too far away, but as long as you're staying fairly close, you can still see each other's outlines and colours in this fog. And as you're moving through the fog, you can sort of see Omen is moving very slowly, and that fog is seeping into his cloak, and you can kind of see it move in a really heavy way and push in against him. And Audacity, you've seen Omen come fresh out of the ocean. It's very similar to that. Like he is absorbing about as much water from this fog as when he was dunked off the boat.
I think I'm doing slightly less well than him.
Yeah. It's a bit like that.
Just hear muttering in Infernal.
Does anybody speak Infernal apart from Audacity?
I do.
Such language. Such language.
I would like to retroactively change what I'm singing in. I would like to be singing "We'll Be Coming Round the Mountain" in Infernal.
Oh, that's...
Be coming round the 9 hells when she come.
Wonderful. So you guys have been walking through this fog bank for a while, and it's damp and humid, but it also still feels like you're kind of still in that rainforesty kind of environment. The path is relatively smooth, but it's more of a goat track than a paved road. You can't imagine exactly how someone would pave this necessarily, but it's not. So you're not tripping over roots or anything. It's fairly clear. Can I get a perception check, please?
I got 24.
22.
Wonderful. Okay. It's a 9 from Julian, a 24 from Hortense, a nat 1 from Audacity, and a 22 from Gil. All right, so for Hortense and Gil, you guys notice it first, and Hortense, you're at the front, so that kind of makes sense anyway. You feel the dampness and the heaviness of that fog lift ever so slightly the further in you go. And then slowly you start to feel the air get warmer. And ahead of you, there's light and colour. And as you keep walking down this path, the fog does start to thin. And you can see something as it gives way on the other side. And
Dinotopia. Plot twist.
I'm just head down and trudging.
As you come out of the fog bank, you are standing on the edge of an outcropping, looking over a vast land beyond. You're sopping wet, some of you, but you're on the other side of the fog. You can see mountains, hills, forests. There's a town just below the high ridge that you're on. And if you assumed that all of the chaos from earlier in the morning was a volcano, you are correct. You can see that volcano with smoke still billowing from its peak and lava flow coming down the side.
As we come out of the fog, Gil is going to take the scarf out, sort of give it a bit of a feel round, and then wrap it back up around its face.
Mm-hmm.
Is anything? Oh, I mean, I can see from the picture that something's like still coming out of it, but how active does it seem to be at the moment?
At the moment, it's not actively like erupting. Like it's still in the aftermath stages of eruption, I guess. So it's not currently got explosions and stuff going on, and there's no earthquakes happening at the moment. But there is still smoke, and there is still that lava coming down the side of this mountain peak. But it's not currently going bonkers.
How clear is the air up here? Is there still lots of like ash and particulate in it, or is it?
Most of the particulate seems to have gone up and over. But like there is still some ash in the air. Like you're at the base of a volcano. It's kind of inevitable. Yeah.
To clarify, this new world that we found doesn't look like it could be contained in the size of the fog bank.
Well, you can't see to the other side. Like you can see the fog reach around, but then you kind of lose sight of it because it goes too far in either direction. It goes off into the horizon.
Can we see any people?
There's a town, and you are close enough just that you can kind of see people moving around in the town.
Without saying absolutely anything to the people I'm traveling with, I start walking towards the town.
Okay.
Hortense has lived alone for too long. She doesn't know how to communicate, like, at all.
Oh.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna give everybody one reaction to Hortense doing that before we call it for tonight.
I'll probably before, as she's moving along, I wanted to actually kind of as she was doing that, but like even especially so now that she's just doing that, I wanted to do an investigation check. I think to kind of it's either perception or investigation to figure out or to see if I can observe any like footprints or anything like that. Like there's a town there, but like, and you mentioned that there's a track, but like how frequently used does it look, and in what directions does it seem like people travel and stuff like that?
Okay. I would say that's probably a investigation if you're looking at it that closely.
Just a minute.
I also put my picture in the wrong chat. I made an art channel and then I didn't put it. Sigh. I'll put it there too.
Stupid.
16. Okay, great. So looking around, you can see where it was that you came out of the fog, and you can see that track. And it is very much a goat track that's just been worn by people going through it. It's got growth on the edges, but it is definitely one of those things that is just worn down over time. And you can see that the most common path, there is a fairly clear path, even though it's not a man-made necessarily path, that comes down from that outcropping that does go towards the town. So you're able to fairly easily guess that when people come out of here, they observe the view and then go down towards the town because it's the closest thing that you could get to that is even remotely familiar. Because, well, not familiar insofar as you recognize a town, but a town is familiar, you know?
Yeah, makes sense. I guess I'll actually try and catch up with her, I think. Like I won't follow. I won't just follow, but I'll try and actually catch up.
I'm not moving very fast.
Oh yeah, of course.
My top speed is like 4.
Have you actually? What is your walking speed? Just out of curiosity, have you adjusted that?
No, no, I don't care that much. No, it's more, it's less of a stride and more of like an old lady shuffle.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Gil and Audacity, what are you gonna do?
I think Audacity's just kind of adjusting the cloak that's sitting over her wings and just looks at her and is like, well, we're not dead. So, point in your favor. Very wet.
As am
Familiar.
I.
Too familiar. If this village is haunted, I'm burning something down.
I think that would be a fair response. I can see your expression. Look, these two have history. Poor little fish dude's just sitting there going, oh, they're going to build something down. Shit.
That's my least favorite kind of thing. My least favorite of the 4 classical elements. Yeah, Gil is just going to sort of look down at the town. The ears are going to do the little droop again and go, and then start to follow everybody down the hill.
Yep. All right, cool. So with that, we're going to call it for the night with the party making their way down from this overhang towards the town. And I guess we'll see what happens next time.
Dun dun dun.
Oh dear. Yeah. Oh, that was fun.
That was fun. I enjoyed that. Do we just want to say a 7:30 start for the next session, considering like getting home and dinner and everything?
Yeah, I think that's sensible. Because then we have a predictable time.
I missed the operative word in that sentence.
What time we're starting?
Right.
All right. Groovy. Well, thank you everybody for playing. I hope this was at least some manner of entertaining, and see
I
you
had a
in
good time.
fortnight.
Yeah, it was good.
That's
Thanks
good.
for having me. Yeah.